Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to today's live session. I'm so excited for the incredible conversation we're going to have today because we are going to talk about a real life skill that all of us need, that is important for every single one of us, regardless of what we're doing in our lives, the career lines we're pursuing, the relationships that we have, or anything that separates our lives from everyone else. It doesn't matter how unique your life is. It doesn't matter what kind of circumstances you live in. This one skill, well, this is important for everybody. And the moment you master it, you master success. The moment you master it, you master growth. The moment you understand exactly what the skill is and how it can help you grow, you unlock the next level in your life very easily and very effortlessly. Because I've been seeing one pattern and I've been talking about a lot of different concepts about success, about achievement, about love, about relationships, about building a holistic way to success. We've covered a lot of ground in the last 36, 37 sessions that we've done live here on YouTube. But I recognize that there's one place where a lot of us still feel stuck, where a lot of us still get confused. And that place is, well, I know there's so many things that I need to do. I know the kind of choices I need to make. I know the kind of lifestyle I want to lead, and yet I'm not able to make those decisions. I'm not able to be courageous. I'm always somewhere feeling confused and lost and in a haze. And when it comes to make a choice, whether it's something as small as deciding my to-do list for the day, or something as big as which city to move to, or whether to take a job or to take up a business, I always end up feeling drained, exhausted, and confused. And when we have this problem, when we're not able to make decisions effectively, concretely, at a fast speed, the reason we fail is not because we tried and failed. The reason we end up failing is because the opportunity comes to us, but then we are not able to tap into it out of fear, out of stuckness, out of confusion, and then something that could have turned into a beautiful, beautiful success for us, well, that ends up being a big barrier instead. That ends up being something that limits our growth and doesn't allow us to succeed. And that is why you could have all the right ideas about success, you could have all the mindsets, all the principles, but if this one skill is missing, you will end up using the wrong skill at the wrong time. You will end up using the wrong mindset at the wrong time, and you will become the person who is like, who knows everything but is unable to implement nothing, and then life stays the same way. Well, the skill I'm talking about is the skill of decision making, of making the right decisions, of choosing the right options amongst a sea of other options. How do you do that effectively? How do you do that courageously? And how do you do it like a leader who can see into a future normal people can't? How do you do it like a visionary who can see the impact their decision will have, and with that do something that might seem a bit contradictory now, but over the years, it plays out like a perfectly executed move in chess. Well, that's a skill. It's not luck, it's a skill. And it's a skill you build by practice. By practicing what? Well, the things I'll be introducing you to right now. So stay with me till the end, because this is going to be one of the most practical, one of the most powerful, and one of the most easy and quick to implement sessions that you have done live here with me on YouTube. So I first want you to understand, where does decision making even come from for us as human beings? Because once we understand the base, we can build on top of it and we can unlock the skill to making more effective decisions. So here's what I want you to understand. As human beings, there are two primary reactions or decisions that all of us have. This is what fuels our actions, this is what fuels our beliefs, this is what fuels our thoughts. And it's two simple words: pain and pleasure. We are biologically designed to avoid things that lead us to pain, and we are biologically designed to move towards things that bring us pleasure. Now, this principle right here, this biological hardwiring, is the reason 90% of us are stuck in decision making. And I'll tell you how. But first, let's understand what we mean by these two words. Well, when we were early human beings, when we were out in the jungles, when we didn't really have time to make very quick decisions, we didn't have SWOT analysis at that time, and we didn't have goal setting systems. We had to make on the spot intuitive decisions, and our biology had to adapt. Otherwise, animals would eat us alive, and we wouldn't have survived as a species. So, here's the amazing thing that happens. When we learn naturally to avoid pain, we know, do not go near the tiger, or the tiger will eat you alive. When we know that we have to avoid pain, we will naturally know, do not put your finger into the fire, or your finger will get burnt. So, avoiding pain is a way for us to feel comfortable. Avoiding pain is a way for us to ensure our survival, to ensure our growth, to ensure that we are becoming better people. And as early human beings, we needed this principle. Otherwise, how many of us would have gone and jumped into fires and played with a tiger only to be ended up eaten alive? Now, that's not a helpful reaction, right? So, that's where avoiding pain helps us. Just like that, human beings are hardwired to seek pleasure in life, to seek things that feel good, that are comfortable, that are exciting, that are new, that are rejuvenating. And this is important because food is rejuvenating. And if food doesn't give us pleasure, we wouldn't want to eat it. But if we didn't eat food, we would not survive. So, food gives us a feeling of pleasure. Water gives us a feeling of pleasure, of relief. And that's why we all naturally seek it. We all go towards it. We all feel comfortable with it. In fact, the only reason our species has survived is because physical reproduction is an act of pleasure. If it were not an act of pleasure, no species, no animal, no human being would ever do it. But the reason it is pleasurable is the reason our species continues to exist to this day. So, first thing I want you to understand is pain and pleasure are not inherently bad. We need them in our lives. They are crucial for our growth, they are crucial for our success, they are crucial for our survival. Without them, we wouldn't be here. Now, the problem comes in two ways here. The first way is one, we are no longer living in the jungles. We are no longer living in a fight or flight mode. We are no longer living in a place where our survival is at stake. So, pain and pleasure do not really have to be very instantaneous, they can be achieved or subjected over a longer period of time. And that's where the second problem comes in. We are very terrible at judging what will give us pain and what will give us pleasure. We are very poor at that. We have no idea how to do it. All we know is this somewhat intrinsic biological definition of pain and pleasure. Something feels good, something that doesn't feel good. Well, that's pain. Now, that association that we have in our minds is the reason we are failing at making the right decisions. See, it's not that you don't know what to do, you know that. The reason you're avoiding it is your mind has attached too much subconscious pain to that idea, and that's why you are resisting it. That's why you're not able to make the decision. I read this beautiful thing about, I think, 2 weeks ago. I mentioned it in one of my newsletters also, that you're not confused. You're just hoping for a different answer. Well, where does that hope for a different answer come from? From the desire to avoid pain and from the desire to seek pleasure. Now, our minds are wired to seek them in the moment, to seek them in the now. And that's where our goals and our desires of pain and pleasure, they conflict. Because our goals are long term. We want to achieve something in, let's say, 5 years or 10 years or max to max, like minimum to minimum, sorry, 1 year. That's a longer term perspective. But your mind isn't thinking 1 year. Your mind thinks, I want to avoid pain now, and I only want pleasure now. And that desire, that primal ego, that primal thinking is the reason you end up making poor decisions, because you overestimate the pain that will come with a long term decision that's actually helpful but a bit painful in the short term. And you way too much overestimate the pleasure that will come with a harmful action that is actually just pleasurable in the short term. Now, the reason people smoke, the reason people get addicted, the reason people get addicted to things like alcohol or drugs is not because those things are helping them. It's because in their mind, that is associated with pleasure. Is it actually pleasure? We never know. I've never done any of it, so I'm not sure. But if it were, we can think of it as harmful and not harmful. Excessive consumption of alcohol, smoking, or drugs is, of course, harmful for us. But why do we people end up making that decision? Because the long term effect, the long term pain is very underestimated. Nobody's looking at that. But what they're looking at is, the relief I'm going to get the moment I get my drink or the moment I get my smoke. Well, that right there is poor decision making. Pain and pleasure again are not bad. We are poor at judging what will truly give us pain, what will truly give us pleasure, and that's the reason regret is one of the most powerful emotions that a lot of us experience. I should have done this. I should have done that. I should have spent more time with my kids. I should have focused more on my career. I should have been more sincere in my 20s. I should have managed my money better in my 30s. And all these thoughts that go on inside our heads, we believe they're a part of life. But what if I told you actually they're not? They're not a natural part of life. They're a result of your poor decision making. Now, I'm not saying that pleasure should not be a part of your life. I'm not saying that fun should not be a part of your life. I'm not saying that you should live like a monk and you should live in that grind mode, like that startup hustle bro who's always like, I'm working 16 hours a day. No, that's not what I mean by making good decisions for yourself and your career. What I mean is, what do you want? How do you want it? And are you willing to look at the long term pain and pleasure of those choices that you may be making today? Not what you're feeling right now, but what will unfold for you in the long term. If you can adopt that thinking, if you can adopt that perspective, if you can understand the nuance of your decisions, not from the lens of who you are today, but from the lens of who you will be after the outcomes of those decisions has come into your life, you will start living life like someone who is the captain of the ship, like the pilot of the plane, because now the results will not surprise you, the results will not catch you off guard, the outcomes and consequences you will be well aware of, and even if they're a bit uncertain, you will know how to deal with them because your decisions in life have been started are started to make with awareness, with clarity, with focus, with power. Now that comes when you understand pain and pleasure are okay, they're part of life, you live through them, but your perception of what is actually painful and what is actually pleasurable is grossly inaccurate. We are very bad at predicting that. So if you can build the thinking skills to understand the long term effects of your decisions, to understand what actually gives you pain, what gives you pleasure, and to get in touch with your body and your intuition to know how you are truly feeling about a decision, well, the quality of the decisions you make will jump up by 80 to 90%. Other people will no longer have the capacity to confuse you because you will be clear about what you want, and your decision will not be made from what you want today. Your decision will be made from what really matters to you 5 years, 10 years, 1 year into the future. And that's what visionaries do. That's what leaders do. That's what people at the top of their game do. You think an Olympic athlete who's preparing now is just thinking about finding the pleasure of a chocolate pastry today? No. They're thinking about the pleasure of playing in the 2028 games almost 2 years from now and feeling really good while they do it. That fuels them, that pushes their growth, that allows them to bear the pain of today, to rewire their mind to that of an achiever. But all those decisions are conscious, all those decisions are clear, all those decisions are powered by a fundamental understanding of short term versus long term pain and pleasure. And because they have taken control of the pain and pleasure receptors inside their minds, they have become like superhumans for whom discipline is effortless, for whom consistency is effortless, for whom success is effortless, because now they are not looking at discipline and consistency and success as punishment and pain. They're looking at it as self respect, as love, and as pleasure. Now, that's a completely different perspective on what discipline could be. If you've never thought of that before, I highly recommend you try that one, by the way. It completely changes the way you take action, it completely changes the way you show up in your life. But essentially, here's what I'm trying to tell you for all decisions that you may want to make in your life. Look at not just today, but tomorrow, the day after, maybe a year after, maybe if you can, 5 years later, and truly see the long term repercussions that your choices today have, and you will be amazed at how easy it is to see the dissonance between what feels pleasurable now but creates pain later, what feels painful now but creates pleasure later. Balance both the sides. Have pleasure now as well, but also be sincere enough to take all the painful actions required to create extraordinary pleasure of success and meaning and fulfillment and growth and achievement in the future. If you say, oh no, I don't want to get uncomfortable, so I'm just going to scroll 4 hours a day and watch Netflix and then expect to clear my exam at the highest level or to achieve my business goals, well, good luck. That's all I can say. But it's not going to lead you to the success you want. But I'm also not saying shut it all off completely. Give yourself some time. But when you are giving your time to your work, to the things that matter, make sure you are present there. Make sure you're sincere there. Make sure you're showing up with the person you want to be, with the confidence you want to embody. And as a result of that, your decision making will go to the next level, because now you will not only make decisions, but you will also make decisions right by following through with them with all your actions. It's all about the associations you make with pain and pleasure. So tonight, play around with this idea. Think a bit more about what gives you pain, what gives you pleasure, and how could these two actually be intertwined in a way that's not serving you? How can you untangle that cord so that your mind and your actions and your feelings are aligned not to the chains of today's pleasure, but to the wings of your tomorrow's bright future? The moment that happens, you start to become the person who can succeed and take their life to the next level. So I hope this was practical. I hope this was helpful. And I hope this helps you get started on exactly how to change your behavior and how to become your best version. I'll see you tomorrow once again for another live session at 8:30 p.m. IST. And with that, thank you so much for being here. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.